8 Special Forces soldiers were behind enemy lines, hiding in a cave in the Iraqi mountains. They were about a couple hundred meters from the enemy base that they were scoping. A kid with a herd of goats stumbled into the cave. The kid was walking into the cave, but looking backwards, not really paying attention. The soldiers were hiding behind a large rock. Andy McNab, the SAS soldier in command, flicked the safety catch off his rifle, aimed down the kid in his iron sights, and prayed to himself, "Kid, just turn around and fuck off, please." What are you doing in this situation? Because obviously, if the kid sees you, you can't let him go, because he's obviously going to raise the arm.
Got to slot him.
So you got to, innit?
You got to top him.
You got to shoot the kid. Curry goat for everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'd obviously have to save one goat and keep one alive for you, Joseph. Because you're a vegetarian, right? Calm down.
I was about to say, why?
Calm down. Pause this video right now. Go and read Bravo 20 by
Andy McNab. And when you're ready, you could join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library.
But yes, listen, we had a conversation about getting cancelled off YouTube. I had a, you know, you can make the jokes as long as you can back it up.
I'm going to get on the rumble immediately after this. You know what I mean? You need like an exit ramp off your joke.
Yeah. Parachute, yeah. But yes, what did you think of the book?
I thought it was really good. And this is our old book as well. It's not new.
Very old.
It's very old. So it's like,
well, they kind of re-released it.
The 20th anniversary edition, yeah.
But yeah, the book is very old. But these type of books are timeless.
Yeah, it is timeless. It really is timeless. I've heard of it. I've heard so much of it.
I haven't.
I didn't. Yeah, I've heard of it. Obviously, you know, from people in cadets in certain circles.
Oh,
you're
really?
gonna hear about it. Yeah, you're gonna hear about it. It's like I said, it's a very, very famous book, and it was very easy to see why after reading it. To be honest,
I think this is a tap-in sort of thing. Because, I mean, you don't need much writing. I mean, I think once you've read one, you've probably read them all. But would you want to read more, do you think? Like a different story or even by the same, would you want to read?
Well, apparently he's read more, so I'd be interested in seeing... He's written more, so I'd be interested in seeing what other kind of stories that he's talking about. Maybe he decided, let me branch off into fiction. Because at the end of the day, there's realism.
He kind of explained that towards the end of
the book. Yeah, he was, but realism is no guarantee of entertainment, you know. But he was realistic and he was entertaining.
It's not what I expected, though. I expected some cool shit, you know.
There was a successful
mission.
This was like
this was a tits up.
Yeah,
literally. Do you know what I mean?
There was a lot less cool shit than you thought, but I still found it cool. And I thought
it was good. I think it's a good read. Yeah, let's get right into it.
How many?
And also, did you listen to it or did you read it?
No, I read it.
Okay, listening to it, you know, I always say it, but the accents...
Was there gunshots?
No, there wasn't gunshots, but there was accents, you know, the Arabs at my brother, you know, all of that, which was quite good. And
I know, I listened to some parts of it, because I did think there was going to be accents. I didn't listen to all the Iraqi accents, but I thought there was going to be accents. I did listen to some clips of it, but 99% of the book I read on PDF.
Okay. After their shit show of a mission, because they didn't shoot the kid... so they had to travel 85 kilometers across the Iraqi desert towards Syria on foot. That journey took days. The journey was brutal. All of the soldiers nearly lost their lives to hypothermia, and one soldier did. We look at Iraq on the TV and we think it's a hot country, and I think it is, but it equally doesn't fuck about in the wintertime. So it's so interesting that no matter how bad the situation is, it can always be made 10 times worse by Mother Nature. We don't realize it with our central heating and warm clothing, but if you give Mother Nature half a chance, you'll get fucked.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that any of our early ancestors made it to reproduction at a bare minimum. You know, so it's amazing.
It's crazy. That's a good point to make. No matter how bad things are, you could always be freezing to death. And if you stay out long enough, you will. Yeah. So it's like Sahara Desert. You think that's hot. Nighttime, whatever. You're freezing to death.
It's ready to kill you.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a shit show, mate.
It absolutely was a shit show. There wasn't a single thing they did right, in my opinion.
It's easy for us to ask you, but if you're in that situation, you're gonna shoot the kid.
Yeah, I thought he was going to.
If he did, he wouldn't have made it into the book.
Fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah, so I knew he couldn't have done it.
Fair enough. That's a good point, to be fair. But he was even like, he said, with the SAS, not the SS.
Yeah,
he said that once, and he was also
said
like,
it a few times.
Exactly, and he said that could have been my daughter Katie, and that could have been an Iraqi soldier. He said, Iraqi soldier deployed in Britain, that could have been Katie, you know. And I'm thinking, SAS soldier, you can't be thinking them things in that moment.
They could have shot him in the leg, though.
Well, they didn't want to make noise. And he would have been screaming.
They should have had silencers anyway. I don't know why they didn't have silencers.
I don't know why they didn't have silencers. I don't know why they didn't have pistols either.
So why are you aiming down the sight if you're not going to shoot anyway? They could have just rushed him.
Yeah, they could. There's loads of things they should have done. Author waxing lyrical off rip. I thought this guy was a soldier, not a poet. Inside the first chapter, McNab says, we had revision periods with whoever knew best about a particular subject. The only trouble was that Pete, the instructor from our mountain troop, had a Geordie accent as thick as Tyne fog and spoke with his verbal safety catch on full automatic. All right. I see what you did there, Andy. Even if you have never been so unfortunate as to be subjected to a thick Geordie accent, McNab's way with words and powers of description there helped to paint the word picture for you. So there was multiple instances in this book where I thought, you had a bloody good editor, didn't you? There's no way you did this.
I assumed he didn't. I assumed he wrote down a few lines of what happened and they blew it up.
Yeah, of course. Because I said...
I could be wrong.
There's certain things where I look at it and I'm like, he wrote that, but there's also some other things I said,
finish school.
You had a bloody good editor. You had to have done. You had to. So obviously the editor was like, the source material is there. You don't need to improve the content. We just need to improve the delivery.
We don't need you.
Exactly.
We just need your
You've already done it. You've already done it.
SAS soldier Andy McNab and his squad, after they cocked up their mission, while on the run in the Iraqi desert, they came across two unaware Iraqi soldiers having nap time while on duty. McNab and his second in command, they pulled out their knives and they nodded to each other.
100% slot them.
You know what's about to happen. We've all seen this movie. You know, swift crack of the neck. McNab said, in the films, you grab their mouth and in one clean movement, you slit their throat, or one in the heart and twist. He went on to say, it doesn't work like that in real life. You never go for the heart because they could be wearing body armor. If you try to slit their throat, they will still be able to scream for a couple of minutes. You have to thrash and stab at their throat as many times as possible until their head nearly comes off. And I thought, fucking hell, remind me never to nap on the fucking job.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What happened to taking prisoners? Look how much people have ended up dying because Joseph didn't want to take one for the team and handle the goat.
Do you know?
But no, in all seriousness, would it not have been better to shoot the kid? Would that not have been the lesser evil? You know that kid's going to turn out to be a Taliban anyway.
Oh, it's Taliban's Afghanistan. This is Iraq.
It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. To us in the West.
I'm going to get on the rumble after this.
After this.
But yeah, no. In all seriousness, first, what I thought was funny, which will actually lead to my next point, is he said, if you tried to stab somebody like in the back or something, he said if they were wearing body armor, they would simply turn around and ask you to stop. And I was just like, why is this guy always cracking jokes in the middle of the most serious?
No, it's going to be on my next point. But yeah, the way he says certain things, right, you got to stab and thrash at their neck. I mean, when you're holding someone, are you not worried that you might, hit yourself as well?
Listen,
they're wriggling and...
your worries.
That is not a good way to go.
Yeah, but the way he was...
clean one to the back of the head.
The way he was talking about things as well, he would say things very matter-of-factly when it was,
in fact, very gruesome.
It wasn't crude. It wasn't crude, but he would say things very matter-of-factly. So he would use words like, yeah, we had to slot them. Or, if we got slotted, obviously means killed.
Yeah. And I've got another point about that as well, actually, so I don't want to ruin
it. This book is funny. Not a quality I was expecting, but one that is extremely welcome. Andy McNab says, we had to take pills as protection against nerve agents, but we soon stopped once the rumour went around that they made you impotent. The Sergeant Major then reassured them all that it wasn't true. I've just had a wank this morning. That actually just made me laugh out loud. And this is what I was like, I didn't expect it. Lads will be lads. I didn't expect it to be a funny book. I expected it to just be full of, and the training was hard and we was bleeding and was all... I didn't really think there was going to be a lighter.
Well, actually.
He didn't gloss over it, but there was more he could have waited to that he decided not to.
Yeah, I guess so. But he did make... I mean, I can't say that. I was going to say he made the army seem fun. I mean, judging by this fucking book, no, he didn't. But there were good times in the book, which he said it was like a family, which is,
Yeah, he said it got posted to gym or whatever, and he said, it was on a piss every day. Wasn't doing any work, was just stationed there.
An easy way to ID a soldier to see if their friend or foe is what weapon are they carrying. If they're carrying an AK-47, letting it off in the air, 100%. Then they're probably a enemy.
Yeah.
I know what you was going to say. So, Professor Joseph, tell us why the British Army do not use the AK-47. I mean, why would you not? Who doesn't want a gold-plated AK-47?
100%.
Do you have any idea why?
Well, I assume, and this is an educated assumption, that it's not accurate enough. So it's probably accurate from It's accurate to us from a certain distance. I don't know what the numbers actually are, but beyond that distance,
so I did some research, and you're right. You're right. It's an old weapon. It's a very old weapon.
1947,
it's very simple. Yeah, it's very simple, and it's used for certain things. But basically,
it's too loud.
There's AK-47. It's not that great a weapon. It's most famous. I don't know why. Is it from the Taliban? The Taliban made it famous.
No, Russians.
I know it's a Russian weapon. But why is it famous? Why is it the most famous gun? That's what I don't understand.
I think it's extremely famous. One, because of its reliability. One of its reliability. Two,
I mean famous as in if you ask somebody what's the gun. They'll be able to tell you AK-47. They might not be able to tell you any other ones.
They might not even know what it looks like.
But everyone's heard of AK-47. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Definitely in modern times. No, in modern well, what other assault rifle that lasted since before the 50s?
No, but I'm saying that couldn't be the reason why everybody knows the name.
I think the modern aspect of it is the terrorists.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But they got it because it's reliable.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. But the reason why AK-47 is not used is because the caliber of the bullet is too big.
Yeah, 7.62 in it.
So basically, because the Britain are in NATO, NATO's basically said we're all going to use a gun that has the same bullet, so that it's all interchangeable, so we can all make our own weapon. If Russia makes all our bullets and all our guns, and we go to war with Russia, we're in trouble.
100%.
So that's pretty much...
The AKs, was it 7.62 and the NATO uses 5.56 in it?
I couldn't know. It's 1.7 and 1.5. I know that. Yeah, so that's the reason why we don't use the AK-47. But there was a bit where they were planning to go out on a mission, and they said they were going to cut the landline, because that's what the mission was about.
Scud missiles.
Was it Osama bin Laden's Al Qaeda?
Saddam Hussein's. Yeah, Osama bin Laden's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Saddam Hussein's landline, and they were going to wire it with explosives to booby trap it for when the engineer comes to fix it. And I thought, this is where I was like, nah, to me, that left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, that's not part of the agreement. They've got certain, they're only allowed to shoot at people who shoot at them. I don't think it's fair for them to be...
invade someone else's country and leave bombs there for them?
Leaving bombs for the engineer.
Yeah, legit.
The engineer.
He's just a dude, bro.
He's just a dude to fix it.
He's just cool.
And what does that really achieve? Killing one engineer. Well, they said, it's only going to blow his leg off. That's what he said in the book.
Take his foot off. Yeah. Well, they put different bombs, and they said the first one, he said it will probably take his foot off. The second one, we didn't put any bombs, and then when they clear it, the third one they'll have more, and then they'll take their foot off or whatever. And it was just like it was a little bit. It was a little bit, but they're talking about they only really killed people that they was shooting at them, really.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So how can you then set a bomb for some innocent person? I didn't like that bit. I mean, it is war, but the West kind of have a different set of rules. It's a higher set of rules. So I think that planting a bomb for somebody that's not consistent. But it is what it is.
Proper planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. The 7 Ps, Andy McNab calls them, an outstanding feature of Bravo 20 is how much preparation and planning goes into special operations. Before a single rifle was picked up or a single boot laced up, the team got together a collection of maps and planned everything in advance. And when I say everything, I mean everything. What they would need to carry with them, whether they would be able to carry it all, whether they would need a helicopter or a jeep, how much fuel a jeep would need. It's a refreshing change from the movies to see the action heroes being so methodical and detailed. Usually, the hero gets to watch one video explaining his mission before this message self-destructs in 5 seconds. He will then retain this information in his head with perfect recall and with zero planning or prep of any kind, will proceed to freestyle the mission like a badass and successfully recover the deadly virus, /stop the nuke, /capture the villain.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way you can watch one blasted video and, retain all that. You've already forgotten it.
And honestly, that is one thing I learned about the Special Forces, because they said if they find a bit of time, they reload their gun, they rewire their whatever.
Check and recheck.
That's what you said. They will take the bullets out of their clip and they'll redo it again. I didn't know they do that. He said when they're professionals, you expect a certain level of professionalism, and little things don't go wrong because we check it over.
Yeah. Check and recheck. I did like that though. Yeah. That wasn't nice.
SAS soldier Andy McNab pulled no punches when letting us know that many people have died by his hand. But I liked the manner in which he spoke about killing the enemy. I thought it was quite humane. He spoke about the time that he and one of his boys were hidden in the bushes and 4 Iraqi soldiers were approaching. The British Special Force soldiers used hand signals to communicate that if the Iraqis were just passing, then they were passing with no drama, then they'll let them go. He said, then they began to get so close that there was no way they were going to miss us, so we dropped them. You know, he didn't dwell on it. He didn't dramatize it. There was no, I told him to get on his knees. You know, it was just, and I executed him. It was just, you know, it was just
preemptive. We dropped him.
Yeah, exactly. There was another example where he said, as we were crawling through the hedges, a Iraqi boy screamed at me, and Mark gave him the good news, and his body disintegrated in front of my eyes. You know, it wasn't overly graphic. It was just business as usual. And then there was another example that I really liked. He said, one trip of the claymore, and Bob used to be your uncle.
Bob used to be your uncle. Yeah.
So you know, it was entertaining. He done a good job, honestly.
100%. That's actually my next point.
I believed it. You know, I believed it was him. Even though it might not have been, I believed it. It might have been the editor, but I believed that it was him.
100%.
And Bob used to be your uncle.
Legit. That's actually my next point. How to make your own claymores. I've always wanted to make my own claymores. McNab says...
Pesky siblings going in your room.
McNab says there was always a shortage of claymores on account of their effectiveness and soldiers' fondness for them. The solution, he says, was to go around to the cookhouse, get a pile of ice cream containers and make our own. You make a hole in the center of the carton, run a detonation cord into it and tie a knot inside the container. You make a shaped charge with PE4 plastic explosive and put it in the bottom of the tub, making sure the knot is embedded. You then fill the carton with nuts and bolts, little lumps of metal and anything else nasty that you can find lying around. Once the claymore is in position, all you have to do is put a det on the det cord and Bob used to be your uncle. Yeah. Amazing how the author is able to talk about mercilessly killing people and make me laugh at the same time. But it is interesting. That's how you make claymores.
Didn't have the laser.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
We're getting Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't think so. But
those you could run and jump over.
Those were not in Black Ops. You couldn't.
Yeah, not in Black Ops.
Black Ops used to get
Modern Warfare 2, you could just run and jump over there. But
100%. What was that one where you whip?
That was Modern Warfare 3. Those you can't get away from. You'd run around the corner down the road.
Bro, you have teleport. You still can't get away.
Yeah.
Was it IMF? Was it
IMS?
Something.
IMS. It might be.
I'll have to look later.
The foreskin scene. SAS soldier Andy McNab was captured behind enemy lines, and yep, he was tortured. The torture was never ending. It just went on and on. They would lay him out multiple times a day, battering him, working him over till he was black and blue. McNab said that one day their toilets were blocked and they made him clear the excrement with his hands and then made him lick his fingers clean. And as disgusting as that is, you should see some of the stuff my missus cooks. But that's a walk in the park, you know. As bad as it is, while I was reading, I was thinking at least it's only beatings.
Yeah.
And clearly I spoke too soon. So he speaks about a time where they brought a dentist in because they had battened him and broke all his teeth. And I think he kind of tried to cooperate with them a little bit, give them some information. And he said, we have a dentist to come and look at your mouth. And the dentist came in and ripped his tooth out. And can you imagine the cheek of it? The Iraqi captain said, did you really we're going to help you? Did you really think we were going to help you? You damn fool.
Yeah.
And he said, and your teeth are going to come out one by one. And at that point, that's me. I'd be singing.
Oh, I would have been
I'd be like, you want to know about Joseph? I never liked him anyway.
100%.
You think I'm losing my teeth one by one for you?
One by one. Crazy, bro.
So what happens when they take out all your teeth? What's next? And you see them fumbling for their zipper, fighting between themselves to see who gets to be in the room with you.
Who gets first? Yeah, he gets in first. Man said, which one of them gets to be in the room with you? Which 10 of them?
Fumbling. Nah, bro.
Money blue settings. Getting your back door kicked in, you know. Jesus. I'm dead.
If that did happen, that wouldn't be in the book. So that
Take
means,
no prisoners, comrades.
Yeah,
no, legit.
Maybe that did happen. Who knows? You know.
Yeah, maybe he did slot that child.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but yeah, no. As I said, the torture, the beatings, one can endure that. But when they start doing the actual tortures,
100%. When you see the guy open the tool bag, that's when I'm like, all right,
I think we can sort this out.
Chill, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
See, man, with the pliers.
Yeah,
no, what are you gonna do that?
Gloves, pliers. Yeah,
if I see any of that, I'm not. Nah, let's not do this. So you hacking it, Casino Royale, yeah?
I've actually only got one or two more.
Okay, let me go twice. I think I've got 3 more.
I think we should have
I know,
this
right?
a bit better.
You hacking that Casino Royale scene, yeah?
Casino Royale. No, sir.
Nah, but he must have known he was done, and he was like, let me have some fun on the way out. I would never have done that. Because even Andy McNab, he literally said, if I see if I see them taking out a sharpened knife or whatever, trying to cut my balls off, he said, I'm going to say whatever it takes to get them to slot me there and then. He said, I'm not doing that. Yeah. He said the only two things he was scared of was one, getting his balls cut off, and one, if they tried to fuck him. That's literally what he said. He said, I don't know if they would, but he said, I don't know if they're shit stabbers, but he said, we can't be sure.
I was going to say something, but I forgot.
He said, if I see any of them things, he said, I'm just going to make sure, say whatever it takes, get him to kill me on the spot.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think one thing you have to be concerned about is if you give up the information too easy, they're going to think there's more.
Yeah.
So if you do start singing immediately, you've got to take some of the pain. You've got to let them take out a couple teeth. Because if you say it all, then you really haven't got any more to say. Yeah, and then they're going to keep torturing you.
Yeah.
Till the end.
Legit. And then kill you. Or not. Did you know, in the field, the smell of clean bodies and clean clothes can disturb the wildlife and give away a team's position. So a few days before they're deployed, SAS soldiers tend to stop washing and make sure their clothes are well worn instead of fresh, because as McNab says, a covert soldier's most deadly weapon is concealment. This is exactly what I wanted from a story about SAS soldiers behind enemy lines. I want the real deal, not Call of Duty, not Medal of Honor, not Battlefield. I want stuff I've never heard before, the real stuff, not the myths. And that's that's not glamorous, you know? Not washing for a couple of days and making sure your clothes smell, that's not glamorous. They're not going to put that in the movies.
Tupperware and putting it in your bag.
Do you see what I'm saying, you know?
With you,
100%, that's not glamorous, you know? Like pissing in a jerry can and then you have to bury it in the woods a mile away from where you're patrolling, that's not glamorous.
Yeah.
So we want the real stuff. And this is kind of why SS selection is so tough, because like you're gonna have to be doing a lot worse than this. Is pretty much what they're saying.
Yeah, it's about never giving up as well, because part of this mission, when it went wrong, you know, they had to walk 85k or whatever, and it was days and days and days of misery, and they had to push on.
100%. And there's times that they're shivering from hypothermia, and they're like, we have to wait 2 more hours just here. And, you know, it's like, bro, I wouldn't have reached the torture part. I would have checked out long before that, you know.
Imagine you survive
I'm a bartender.
Just to get tortured.
I'm a bartender. Like, what the hell? Let me go one more time, and then I'll have 2 more after that. These SAS guys are hard as nails, aren't they? The mission of the team, known as Bravo 20, was to helicopter into Iraq behind enemy lines and destroy Saddam Hussein's Scud missiles. The Scuds were a form of supersonic missile based on the V2 rocket used by the Nazis in the Second World War, and could deploy chemical, biological, or nuclear payloads. Rather than parachuting in with 1 pistol, 7 bullets that never run out, and a dope-ass soundtrack, which is how Bond would have done it, our SAS team had to tab 12 miles from the helicopter drop zone to the main supply route. TAB is a form of military physical exercise that stands for Tactical Assault to Battle, advancing, running, or jogging at a brisk pace over miles and miles. They did this in hostile country, holding heavy rifles and burguns, loaded with explosives, food, equipment, ammunition, a jerry can full of water, another jerry can full of piss, all of which weighed around the same as a 15-stone man each. I have to take a rest on the way to the fridge, for God's sake. So these guys are hard as nails. And they weren't even really complaining until they started getting injured, until they started freezing to death and dehydrating. That's
another thing. He said something along the lines of, when they were going through the desert, and he was about 10 kilometers from the border, and I think they got caught 10 kilometers from the border. He was like, 10 kilometers, that's nothing. I could run that in half an hour or whatnot.
20 minutes,
and you know, that 10k, I was fit once upon a time, and I was running 10ks in 50 minutes and sweating my nuts off.
And he said, I could do
and they're doing it with kit.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
with equipment. And bearing in mind, you ain't slept or shat for like 2 days, and he still said, and you're gonna have to like jump a fence after that. All kinds of nonsense.
So
hard as nails, honestly. Yeah, I've got 2 more.
I got 2 more anyway. When you pump 2 bullets into somebody's chest and you watch the life leave their body, do you feel like the man? Apparently, that's the most common question that soldiers get. I know it sounds childish, and soldiers try to avoid answering the question. I reckon the reason soldiers don't like answering the question is because they know deep down us normal folk won't really like the idea of us having a murderer amongst us in our community. So you as a soldier coming back from the war who's done a madness could be ostracized by the people that they fought to protect. But Andy McNab actually answered the question in a different way, and I liked his answer. He said, no, it doesn't feel good. He said the aim aim of war isn't to kill the enemy soldiers, it's to win the war. Taking out 40 aircraft is a lot more important to the war effort than killing 40 soldiers. Unnecessary loss of life is always a bad thing. And I love to spot a cop-out answer, and that wasn't one. It was genuine. You know, so I think that kind of puts to bed my reservations and a lot of people's reservations about soldiers skipping the question and whatnot.
I thought it was good what he said about taking out one airplane is better than killing 40 soldiers, because, like, strategically, obviously, it's true.
Yeah.
And that's, you know...
What do you think he still doesn't answer the question?
No, but that's the part of the answer where you think that's not actually a cop-out. That's actually the part of his answer where you think, fair enough.
Well, one could still say it's a cop-out because you're not answering the question, but he does say, no, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Not to him. I'm sure there are some psychopaths or some people that would
course.
think it does feel good or whatnot, because it's a novel thing to do. It's you know, it's not something you get to do every day.
Yeah, definitely.
But you might ask a butcher, does it feel good killing the chickens? It's, you know, not really. It's
feel like a carpenter making chairs after a while.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm surprised and fascinated by how much these SAS hooligans who say twat and fuck and piss and shit every 6 words are teaching me about my own biology. After a contact and subsequent firefight against Iraqi infantry, Bravo 20 soldier Stan slows the team down with a bout of dehydration, to which McNab says the following. Dehydration is no respecter of climate. You can become dehydrated in the depths of an Arctic winter just the same as in the middle of a day in the Sahara. Physical exertion produces sweat, even in the cold, and the vapor clouds we see when we exhale are yet more precious moisture leaking from our bodies. Thirst is an unreliable indicator of dehydration. The problem is that just a few sips of liquid might quench your thirst without improving your internal water deficit. After losing 5% of your body weight to dehydration, you will be struck by waves of nausea. If you vomit, you will lose even more precious fluid. While it is interesting to see how important SAS soldiers think water is, McNab himself, he said 2 most important things are water and bullets. He said, as long as I got plenty of both, I'll be good.
To go.
Even more crucially, we have identified a dangerous misconception. We as humans think that if we are not thirsty, then we are not dehydrated, which is such a dangerous and foolish assumption, it can get you killed.
And they think that they're dehydrated if they're thirsty as well.
Yeah.
Just because you're thirsty, that's just I assume it's a concept in your head, really.
Yeah, it must be.
I'm thirsty.
Where else
what
did
does
we get it
that
from?
mean? What, your mouth's a bit dry, and you know who's to say that? I mean, you, but you know, you're comparing it to when your mouth was more moist. You know, that doesn't
100%.
necessarily mean.
Listen, if you, like I always say, if you think something you believe in, you don't know where it came from. It's TV. It must be. Where else could it be? Where else could it come from?
New British military life-saving techniques. Andy McNab basically said that the British military has improved exponentially over the last 20 years. He said now they've got wearable health monitors. Troops now have wearable devices that track vital organs such as heart rate, oxygen level, and body temperature. This allows medics to monitor soldiers remotely and respond faster to potential health crises. They've got blood substitutes. The military is researching synthetic bloods that can carry oxygen and reduce dependency on donor blood supplies. Imagine, this is like, we're now becoming a different species. We will have blue blood but that could be more, that could just be better than the natural blood, you know. It could carry more oxygen and whatnot. So yeah, there was definitely a few different things. Bone regeneration technology.
Oh, damn.
You know. So there was definitely a few different
I haven't got PS5 yet. These guys got bone regeneration.
They had on-site blood donation protocols. So in extreme cases, soldiers have been trained to donate blood directly on the battlefield to save a comrade's life. So imagine you're pinned down by Iraqi soldiers. You're firing, and you got a tube. You're donating blood at the same time. Imagine feeling lightheaded. And
imagine Call of Duty. You know when you revive someone in Call of Duty when they're on
last
stand.
Yeah. I think he said leave him behind. He'd be like, no, I know.
You bring a portable charger. You bring a portable charger, portable blood bank.
But yeah, that's my last one.
The interrogation scenes are crazy. Bravo 20 are captured by the Iraqis, the ones that survived anyway, and subjected to interrogation. Andy McNab's strategy for evading questions was simply to act dumb and hope that his captors bought the ruse. So, you'd have Iraqis in his face. They'd be like, what's your name? And he'd be like, Andy. They'd be like, you're Jew. And he was like, no, I'm British. Jew. He'd be like, I'm British, Christian. He'd be like, no, Jew, Israel, Jew. And he didn't know why being a Jew was bad, but he knew he didn't want to be one.
I didn't even explain that foreskin scene, remember? I said the foreskin scene.
Yeah, no,
so
legit.
basically what happened was he realised that if he pulled out his cock and showed his foreskin, then they'd know he couldn't possibly be Jew. And that actually worked, you know, so... yeah.
I'm dead.
You funny things that save you,
I
innit?
know, right? I would never have thought of that, to be fair.
And circumcision is very popular in America. I mean, Jew or not Jew, they're very popular in America. So a lot of I think I wouldn't know, but I would go. I don't know because I've read on Reddit. The girls will be like, "Oh, I've never seen an uncircumcised dick before." Like if we're in America, they'd say, "I've never seen that. Oh, that's weird."
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I'm with a guy and he's got his foreskin. Like they would talk about that type of stuff. So I assume in America it's very, very common. So if it was an American show, maybe this is why we never heard a story. We haven't read a story by American soldiers who've been captured because they get killed because of their dicks.
Yeah, legit.
Which is quite an interesting thought. Yeah, it's quite an interesting thought.
But yeah, they would ask him questions like, how many of you were there? And he would be like, I don't know. It was dark on a helicopter. Could have been 5, could have been 15, could have been 20. And they would be like, what was your mission? And he would reply, they don't really tell us anything. They just made us get on the heli and get off. Then his interrogator said, well, what about your explosives? At this point, I would have given up. I would have made up, because they had cover stories for the explosives anyway. So it was going over their cover stories about if they got caught, why did they have explosives? And McNab was like, I don't know what you mean. And he was like, the explosives that we caught you and your 7 friends with. And he was like, I don't know. He said, you know, the plastic explosive, were you planning to blow something up, Andy? And he was literally just like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. They don't tell us anything. I was just working in England. They just made me join the army. I didn't even want to fight. I don't kill anybody. Like, he just stuck to his story. But I thought, if later on you need to, part of your cover story includes explaining what you was doing with explosives, you can no longer use that now because you've sworn blind that you don't know what you're talking about. 100%. So I don't know if I would have done that. I would have just relied on an earlier cover story. But listen, he had balls, man. He had balls to just stat in. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, and they said, do you know who Saddam Hussein is? He said, yeah, fearless leader, great man, fearless leader, great man.
And they were questioning him about his religious, because he said he's a Christian. They were trying to ask him, and obviously no one in Britain's really religious. You know, we say that, and they were trying to get him to answer certain questions and stuff like that, and he just didn't know. And there was something else I was going to say. It's going to come back to me. But yeah, overall, I thought the book was, it was quite... Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So he said something like, along the lines of, he doesn't condemn people that torture, but he said he specifically condemns the people that tortured him because he said they were sadistic. They enjoyed torturing him. He said that if, you know, you have to torture somebody to find out a secret to save lives, fair enough, go for it. And I thought that was... I respect him for saying that, being somebody who's gone through it. You know, it didn't cloud his judgment to say, "Oh, I would never do that." You know, it's against the Geneva Convention. Da, da, da. He still said, "Look, there's a time and place for it." But these guys, they went over and above.
Yeah, they did it because they liked it. They didn't even ask me any questions.
Oh, I'm dead. But yeah, overall, you know, I thought it was a good book. I actually don't have anything bad to say about it.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say. It was engaging, you know. Good book. I'd recommend it if you like that sort of thing. I don't think you can just recommend this to anybody willy-nilly.
I think anybody who you would recommend this to has already read it.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
I probably think that's fair to say.
But yeah, I definitely don't regret reading it. But yeah. You have a quote of the day?
I do have a quote of the day, actually.
So you're good for something, then.
Absolutely. My quote's going to be your quote as well.
I don't have a
quote of the day. A river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence.
Okay.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's good.
Strong 3 out of 10.
I like
it's a good quote. I liked it. I only really say quotes that I like.
Because when you said a river cuts through rock, I didn't know you meant literally. I thought you meant it just like cuts through if a rock's there. That's what I thought it meant, and then I realised because you know
over time,
stones get that's what sand is. That's what sand is.
Yeah, legit.
It's literally
might be hundreds of years, might be thousands of years.
Yeah, it's definitely not hundreds. But yeah, and on that bombshell, till next time.